We've talked about musicians now and individuals and all sorts of things. Let's talk about you. If I had to rock up here at your recluse, unannounced, and I would walk in, what can I expect to hear from your turntable? What would be on your turntable? What would be your... what's the music that you listen to? You are talking about all these artists, and I know you are doing it with absolute sincerity and because you love it so much, but what's really your favorites? Well, I mean, I believe you are very good.
Sounds like
you're a Black Sabbath man as well. Ozzy.
I'm sure.
Please sit down. I think it must have been a slight misunderstanding then, but yeah.
Okay, let me
what really tickles your fancy, like they say?
Let me tell you something. Okay, I mean, Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne is a very clever man. He's by no means a twit. You saw with the new album how he sang absolutely incredibly on the new album. Don't for 1 minute believe that Ozzy Osbourne is a drugged out comedian. It's all showmanship. Ozzy Osbourne has some of the driest humour in the world. And he might be out there one day seeing this. As far as I'm concerned, he's still singing just as good as he did in the 70s. He's a Class A rock, metal, I wouldn't call it metal, underground we called it in those days. He's a great vocalist. Sabbath wasn't particularly a band that I urged towards very strongly. Naturally, I had the first album, most people did. Tony Iommi had very definitive riffs in the line of, possibly I could equate him with other... I often think of Ritchie Blackmore when I think of Tony Iommi. They certainly had some great riffs. And although they weren't the first metal band as per se, the word metal, which I would rather attribute to maybe to Iron Butterfly, Inagata Davida, or Race with the Devil with Gun, which was for me the first metal song. Sabbath certainly, in my opinion, globalized
They also won
the dark side of rock. Although they were completely anti-Satanist, the reason why they wore crosses was to protect themselves from a particular witch. You know, let's get that straight. I think Ozzy's dad made the crosses for them. So, and they warn you against the whole Satanism thing. And eating rats and stuff, that for God's sake, man. Ozzy's got a good palate for good food. I think rat is included on that. They did kind of piss Rick Wakeman off by not giving him credit. So did Cat Stevens on Morning Is Broken. But all around, you know, Sabbath, for what they did it well. I mean, Sabbath, the fourth album, Bloody Sabbath, they were great albums. I mean, come on. You can't deny it. Solid riffs, great vocals, incredibly tight band. You can't take any particular musician and make an Olympian status out of him.
Geezer Butler and all of those.
Great bands. You know, okay, you said what I listen to. When I listen to a 70s band, I love listening to Badfinger, Apple Band Badfinger. Because I just love Badfinger. I just love what they do. I love their sound, their dense tightness. I love it. On the 60s side, you hear Grassroots a lot. I love the Grassroots. I know there were various session musicians that stepped in. I love their songs. I love their style. And I've loved most of the Grassroots, even their covers. I listen to the Doors. I enjoy the Doors. I listen to a bit of blues. Peter Hamill's a particular favourite of mine. I love Phonograph Generator. And I'm a Genesis fanatic. Sorry, Peter, but you did a great thing there and you'll never be able to remove yourself from it. And then, of course, I love folk music. So, you know, I kind of got a feeling for... And
English folk.
Yeah, English folk music. Pentangle, Fairport Convention. Absolutely love it. You know, Sandy Denny sang on Led Zeppelin 4. You know, I think, you know, back home you listen to what you dig, and it might not be everybody's cup of tea, and you might even pick up a Townes Van Zandt country kind of styled album, the more dark side of country. And you know, you might listen to a bit of Tangerine Dream by Germany. Late at night you're on the PC and you've got a bit of Tangerine Dream in the background. You know, it's whatever kicks you in that right moment. And it's not always that I would listen to something. Dylan I love. It's not that I would actually necessarily listen to something that has Olympian musicianship in it. Sometimes I just enjoy a good solid rock band.
Yes.
You know, with great songwriting and melody hooks. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a great lover of Lee Clayton. Roy Harper speaks to me, not maybe to everybody. But
Or Sean Phillips.
Sean Phillips is, I struggle with a lot of his jazz stuff, but I love his acoustic.
Yes.
And his poetry is beautiful, and his musicianship. So, yeah, I mean, it's really a personal thing in that capacity, and I might be listening to something that people might think is really, really not out of order,
Yeah.
So that's what you probably, you're bad for.
You elaborate a bit there when you say something really out of order.
Grobschnitt. You mentioned Erok.
Yes.
I once had a lady in the car and I was playing Grobschnitt. Well, believe me, that date ended early in the evening.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, Zappa, I particularly like certain Zappa albums. Not over the top with him, but he was a master in his own capacity, not just as a guitarist, but as an arranger and producer. Certainly, I mean, if you think that Freak Out by Zappa came out, the same recording technique as Sgt. Pepper's, but came out before. That hasn't been globalized. So I think, yeah, I mean, I'm just a human, and I enjoy my music, and I try and listen to good music. And sometimes when something modern piques me,
Yes.
I enjoyed Cooler Shaker when it came out, Crispy and Mills. Just kind of psychedelic, I really enjoyed it. There are times when I would, Foo Fighters, they're bands that would pique my interest, and I would listen. I am a retro person,
Yeah.
all the way through. And it's not like I just find so much undiscovered music from the 60s, psychedelic music. Electric Prunes, they did some wonderful stuff. Neighborhood Children. I mean, you're talking about bands that are not that well. Glass Harp with Full Key. Oh, these are wonderful, wonderful bands. Great musician, guitar work, and just not being given any kind of
Yes.
platform or podium.
Absolutely.
And then there's also those that get given too much. I mean, I think if I have to see another article, with all respect, on Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, for goodness sake, Mojo Magazine, Classic Rock, Record Collector, how much more do you want to write about these guys? What about writing about Every Which Way, Audience, Gravy Train? There's just no podium. Julian Savern, amazing stuff. There was a band called Room that came out in England. I just thought they were the most incredible band called Room. Not well known. Decca came out with this box set compilation and brought out all these unknown bands.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable bands.
But on that note, Shiloh, while you're talking about that, how do you feel about something? Because as the guitarist in bands have always sort of coerced me in buying their music. Because I'm a guitar man, I believe that's the front man, the man that carries the axe, the man that chops down the forest.
Well, the drummer never got the woman, they say.
Yes, absolutely. And the bass guitarist normally is a bit in the dark as well. But besides that, and then of course the vocalist. But how do you feel about something that a well-reputed magazine like Rolling Stone still regard Jimi Hendrix as #1 on their list of 100, and then by the same token, they don't even recognize somebody like Gary Moore and many other guitarists that we have now also sort of found it under the water level, part of the pebbles, part of the shells, part of the coral.
Yeah. Rolling Stone's all about fashion and popularity. You're not going to see them mentioning Brian Parrish of Badger, who to me is an incredible guitarist. If you listen to the live Badger album, you're certainly not going to see even a quarter-page article on Badger, which makes me sick to the stomach, because we all know Jimi Hendrix was a great guitarist, and he certainly ruled the roost in that capacity. But, to ignore what I call the underwater coral is sacrilege for me, because somebody like Rolling Stone doesn't have that excuse. Somebody who's not a big collector has that excuse. But if you haven't taken the time and trouble to go and listen to that, then you know what, do not work for Rolling Stone magazine.
Because why I'm asking this question is purely on what you said earlier on, when you said, when are you going to start and write about other people? If I see an article again about Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, and so forth.
Yeah.
But I mean, by the same token, why don't they revisit this list for a change? Because I know that list has been compiled by a number of so-called music critics as well. Why don't they get fresh blood in?
Would you call them music critics or just a bunch of people that are put together in a room and go and list all the good guitarists?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
So I don't see Clark and Hutchinson Band, phenomenal musicians, Clark and Hutchinson Band. I don't see Brian Parrish. I don't see John Turnbull. I don't see Cross. I don't see, I just don't see Mick Grabban there. And I say to myself, what's happening? My God, they even forget about Paul Kossoff occasionally.
Yes.
Some at least remember.
At least he's in the 100.
Yeah,
But,
in the 100.
Yeah, he's in the 100. But yeah, then let's move on. Let's move on. The one thing I must say to you, more on a personal note.
You're not going to ask me who the greatest guitarist is.
The greatest guitarist.
You're not going to ask me that.
I'm going to put you on the spot for now on that one. What I would...